Toxic script. Hook the shattering fall. They called it the toxic script asterisk, the viral memo that ended my career overnight. A single leaked document stripped of context, twisted into a lie that painted me as a fraud. My own foundation, the one I'd devoted 12 years to, released a statement disowning me before I could even defend myself. My inbox filled with headlines calling me the scientist who cried pollution. The irony, my only crime was exposing the truth, that our so-called green initiative was dumping waste behind a forest of PR slogans. That morning, as my access badge blinked red against the scanner and the security guard avoided my eyes, I realized something sharp and irreversible. Asterisk, the truth doesn't protect you when power feels threatened. And yet, that same truth would become my redemption. The painful departure and relentless pursuit asterisk. I packed my office into 2 boxes, one for my research, one for my dignity. Everything else, the grants, the title, the echo of applause at conferences, was gone. For months, I drifted between rejection letters and unpaid consulting gigs, haunted by whispering voices of colleagues who once toasted my vision. Every time I heard my name mentioned, it came with a smirk. She's the one chasing mushroom miracles, they joked, but that ridicule became fuel. I started studying fungi, not the kind that grow on rotting logs, but the kind that can asterisk eat oil, digest asterisk toxins, and heal asterisk the earth. Mycormediation, they called it, a word so obscure it sounded like desperation, but it was more than science to me, it was a rebellion. Every spore, every petri dish felt like a quiet act of defiance. I worked out of a borrowed greenhouse, living on instant noodles and long nights, guided by one stubborn thought: if nature could clean itself, maybe I could too. The arduous ascension and profound triumph asterisk. There were weeks when everything failed, fungal colonies collapsing, samples contaminated, funding evaporating like mist. But there were also moments, small electric moments, when I'd see a patch of oily soil fade back to brown under a mat of white mycelium. Life reclaiming death, word spread slowly, a local farmer called, then a small town council. Then, almost unbelievably, a major waste management company. They all had the same plea: if your mushrooms can really do this, show us. So I did. We seeded a barren spill site with my fungal cultures. Months later, the soil teemed with earthworms again. Grass grew where nothing had survived for decades. The skeptics went silent. The same media that once mocked me now ran headlines about the scientist who let nature speak. That's when I realized vindication doesn't roar. It grows quietly, like mycelium beneath the surface, connecting everything it touches. The cathartic return and poetic justice asterisk. When the foundation invited me back as a keynote speaker, I almost said no. But standing on that stage, facing the same board that had erased me, I felt no bitterness, only clarity. I told them the truth again, but this time they listened, not because they finally believed me, but because they couldn't ignore the results blooming from the soil. I showed them images of life returning where their green projects had failed. The applause that followed wasn't for revenge, it was for renewal. As I left the stage, one of my old colleagues whispered, "You were right all along." I smiled. "No," I said softly, "the earth was." Moral epilogue. Sometimes the world will bury you in its lies, but if you root yourself in truth, patiently, quietly, one day you'll break through the surface, stronger than before. Because like the fungi I studied, redemption doesn't come from fighting the dirt, it comes from transforming it.